Chapter 3 Food Poisoning. In this chapter we'll learn more about the bacteria that are associated with food poisoning, how bacteria multiply, and the difference between food poisoning and a foodborne disease. As we discovered in the last chapter, there are thousands of bacteria all around us, many that do us no harm, but some, known as pathogenic bacteria, are harmful and can cause illness. So let's go and catch up with the guys who are ready to tell us more at the whiteboard.
Welcome back. Here we are in chapter 3 and we're going to look at exactly what food poisoning is. As we have already discovered, food poisoning is a general term used to describe human illness caused by contaminated food and is focused on the stomach and intestines. And most food poisoning incidents are caused by pathogenic bacteria. However, there are other causes including foodborne disease, viruses and non-bacterial food poisoning.
Yeah, that's quite correct. As Marcus said, there are 4 main reasons why people are ill.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about pathogenic bacteria, the first one. It is the most common way that somebody will have a food illness, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Food poison illness. So the important point to get with the pathogenic bacteria is it needs the food. It needs the food to live on, but more importantly, it then needs the food to grow, to multiply to a serious level. You then eat the food and it makes you ill.
Yeah, so you need a lot of bacteria for that, don't you?
Yes, something such as Salmonella, which is a very common cause of food poisoning, usually found in chicken, poultry. You need to get to 100,000 bacteria per 1 gram of food before it's actually going to make somebody seriously ill.
Yeah, now to help illustrate this, we've got some bad boys down here, of which Nick's going to pick a few out and he's going to put them into the various categories over here to illustrate exactly what we're talking about. So you mentioned Salmonella there, Nick?
Yeah, let's get Salmonella up there. It's a main cause. You don't need to know the names for the exam, but it's a good idea to understand these names for later on. Clostridium, found in
the soil often, but also found in poultry and meat products as well.
Yep, another one.
Staphylococcus aureus, bit of a mouthful, you will need to spell that, by the way. I'm kidding. Where found on you and me, kind of like on our skin, bits of skin, hair, sneezing, coughing. Also can be found on birds and animals as well. But we're the biggest cause of Staphylococcus aureus.
Yep. And the last one, found in rice.
Bacillus cereus, so never ever reheat rice. Give people rice a second day. Never do it. You might get that bad boy there.
Yeah.
Next category from me then, foodborne disease. Now this is the important part. Foodborne disease needs the food or water to get in your body. It actually doesn't need the food to grow, so it's kind of like it's hitching a ride, if you want to call it, to get into your body. You only need a few bacteria, foodborne disease, to get really, really ill, okay?
The fact is with this, it gets into your body, then starts to multiply, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, Nick.
So is it a horse they call the food?
The host.
The horse, to get into you.
Yes, indeed it is.
Go on then, your turn.
Here's a few for you. Number 1, I'm going to go with this one here first. Campylobacter enteritis, found on about 70% of chicken in supermarkets. You'll be ill for about 6 weeks. You'll never stop going to the toilet. Foodborne disease. Next one, Nick. What should we have?
What about good old listeria?
There's a bit of a pattern going on here, isn't there, Nick? Do you notice anything that's going to help you out here? Have you noticed that they're colour-coded?
It's helping me.
Yeah, now I'm colour-blind, so I haven't got a clue what's going on. But anyway, I am, seriously. So, listeria, you can get it from things like soft cheeses and pâtés, which is why in fridges where you're stocking soft cheese and pâtés need to be below 2, ideally, as well. You're going to get really, really ill. And this is a really, really bad one that you can get from meat products. E. coli 0157. People have in the past died from that. So, let's move over from foodborne disease to food poisoning viruses, our next category. Nick.
Okay, right. A virus actually technically isn't a bacteria as such, but it's kind of classed that way for ease. How do viruses pass on between people? Usually by bodily fluids. So, for example, if I sneeze, if I've got norovirus, and I sneeze, the bad bacteria, I'm going to use the word bacteria, actually is on the water droplet from the sneeze and will actually go onto the person. It's highly contagious, it's very quick to take effect, and you will have severe vomiting and diarrhoea probably only for about 24 hours in the
Nasty.
main. It's a nasty, nasty thing. Sometimes called the cruise ship bug, because it's quite often found on cruise ships, because you just think everybody's in a confined area all the time, isn't it?
Have you got any other bad, nasty ones for us, Nick, to put under the food poisoning viruses?
Yeah, hepatitis.
Good job you're not colourblind.
Hepatitis. Again, it lives on water. So it needs the water to survive until it gets into the body. Both those are particularly, they're not nice things to have, are they?
Not at all, absolutely not. So last category from me over here, this one here, which is non-bacterial food poisoning. There's a whole host here for you. So we've got a few nasty ones down here. Now let's pick up one here that you might be thinking, what, rhubarb leaves, Marcus? Rhubarb? Surely I ate rhubarb crumble, rhubarb custard. Well, we're not talking about the rhubarb, we're talking about the leaves, aren't we, Nick?
Yes, do not garnish a dish with rhubarb leaves. They are highly toxic, aren't they? They're highly poisonous.
They are indeed. The next one, let's look at this one. Metal poisoning, getting metals into the food. Used to a few years ago, cooked with copper pans, got metal in. Yeah, metal poisoning. You might have heard of things like lead poisoning. Yeah, horrendous.
Yep, and another one, obviously, chemical poisoning.
Oh, it's one of your favourites. Nick, do you want to talk a bit about this one?
Yeah, just think, obviously, you're using a lot of cleaning agents within a kitchen. You're probably sanitising a lot. You're probably using a disinfectant or a bleach. Whatever you're cleaning, make sure it's spotless and you've got rid of any traces of chemical poisoning, because if you get that into your system, it's a nasty thing. It does quite a lot of harm before it can get sorted out. It's not like a bacteria that lives and grows. It's a straight out poison. It's not good for your system at all, is it?
It's not at all. So the last one.
Last but not least,
bad boy on here, non-bacterial poisoning. Poisonous fungi and fish. Things like mushrooms can make people really, really ill, and different sorts of fish can also make people really, really ill as well.
Yeah, I think the thing to think is, think of the 4 categories. Pathogenic bacteria needs the food to grow, to multiply before it goes in your body. Foodborne disease doesn't. It needs the food just to live on. It gets into your body and then it reproduces very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Virus is a virus. We pass it on in the main. Quite short-lived but quite nasty illness. And then, if you notice all them, they're actually poisons, aren't they? Whether it's a rhubarb, it's metal, it's chemical, or it's a fish, it's a poison.
Yes, it is.
And our bodies don't react well to poison. So that's kind of the 4 main categories, isn't it?
It is indeed. You're going to get a couple of questions at least on the exam on this. Next up from me, Nick.
Spores and toxins.
Welcome back. Now this is really scary because some of you might already know this, but some bacteria have developed the ability to survive very high cooking temperatures and other harsh conditions that include dehydration or disinfection, Nick.
That's very, very correct, and they are getting clever and also getting quite nasty about it, and they are using a defensive mechanism to protect themselves.
Yes, which is called a spore. Now, spores are very clever, very nasty. Bit like perhaps Simon Cowell off X Factor, or the mean one at the end of the row on Strictly Come Dancing.
I'm just going to show you an experiment.
This is time for me and you to put on our protective goggles, I feel here, Nick.
Okay, I'm going to use minstrels, but A, because I love minstrels, and B, it's actually a really good analogy for you. Think about a minstrel. It's got a hard, protective outer shell that actually stops the chocolate melting in your hand. A bacteria and a spore is similar, but the shell is there, the protective shell is there to protect the bacteria from either heat, temperature, i.e. cooking temperatures, or chilling and freezing temperatures. What happens with the bacteria is, as soon as it thinks it's getting too hot, it's getting too cold, the spore completely seals the bacteria in and it stops this attack, like I said, of chilling or heating. It can't multiply, that's one of the good points. However, as soon as you take it off the heat and it starts to cool, or if you take it out of the fridge and you're back into the danger zone, the spore relaxes, the bacteria multiplication on and on and on again. So it's a nasty thing actually, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So the best defence against spores is to reduce the time taken to get the food from preparation to service. Bacteria are often found in rice and they're particularly effective at forming spore resistance.
Yes.
And they won't be killed by reheating, so our advice is never store and reheat cooked rice.
Out of all that lot, time. That's the key in it.
Yes, it is.
Okay, there's something else we need to mention. That's something called a toxin, in other words, a poison. Toxins can be released when bacteria are destroyed it's kind of a defence mechanism. They can actually also be released while they're in the growing stage as well. It is a poison, and if it gets to a high enough level, the bacteria releases this poison. It's not good for your system, is it?
It's going to make you very, very ill.
Okay, so the best way, again, to get rid of toxins is...
The best way is to make sure that you restrict the time in the danger zone.
Yeah. If a bacteria's is a spore former or has the ability to produce a toxin, there's not a lot you can do about it because that's in the nature of the bacteria. What you have to do is make sure the time is that low that it's not got chance to multiply to a dangerous level.
Absolutely. So let's give you a few more as well. Always use I always get this word wrong, so just stay with me. Is it reputable or is it reputable? Yes, you know, I'm sure. So make sure you use a reputable food supplier. Make sure that you prepare, cook and serve food as quickly as possible, as Nick's already said, to ensure that the time is at the minimum.
There's another good one as well, isn't there?
What is it? Great personal hygiene, you're probably saying to me and Nick, aren't you?
Yeah. Now, you might think spores, toxins, that actually, it's nothing to do with me. Actually, it is. Every food handler has a responsibility to safeguard the health of the customers and to prepare food that's fit for human consumption. So remember this time thing all the time. I know we're going back to it. Remember this time thing, and you're going to effectively stop the likes of toxins and spores.
Okay, that's it for this chapter 3. Next up, we're going to have a look at something a little bit more practical, how we can control food poisoning.